comprising news, feature, and sports. In the lineup, First Lady talks to Nigerians on environmental protection. Residents protest incessant kidnappings in Ondo community. On the foreign scene, China clears air on trade deal with Canada. 18 die in Philippines ferry mishap. Part of the matter is on honoring federal government and ASU agreement, while the feature is on termites. My name is Olubukola Enimola, and reading with me this afternoon is
Victor Ajufu. And you can also listen to us on live stream via www.radionigeriaiba.gov.ng. Watch us live on Facebook, Premier FM 93.5. The Harmattan is here. Ensure you drink enough water to prevent dehydration. Now the news in detail. The First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has urged Nigerians to embrace environmental protection and cleanliness as a shared societal responsibilities. Senator Tinubu made the call in Abuja in a message to commemorate the International Day of Clean Energy 2026 with the theme Clean Energy for People and Planet. She said the day serves as a reminder to all Nigerians of their collective duty to protect and preserve the environment. The day seeks to raise awareness and mobilize action for a just and inclusive transition to clean energy for the benefit of people and the planet.
The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, has urged motorists across Nigeria to exercise heightened caution due to the prevailing hazy weather, which has reduced visibility on major highways and increased the risk of road traffic crashes. The Corps explained that the current dust haze, caused largely by seasonal atmospheric conditions, significantly impairs a driver's vision. In a statement, Assistant Corps Marshal and Corps Public Education Officer Mr. Olusegun Ogungbemide said the conditions make adherence to traffic regulations crucial for safety. The Corps notes that the current dust haze, occasioned largely by seasonal atmospheric conditions, poses significant risks to road users, particularly drivers whose vision may be impaired while driving. Reacting to the development, FRSC Corps Marshal Mr. Shehu Mohammed emphasized that reduced visibility lowers reaction times for drivers, making speeding particularly dangerous.
Members of the opposition caucus in the House of Representatives have raised concerns over the alleged non-implementation of the 2025 Appropriation Act, with indications that they may call for the removal of key finance officials over what they described as failed assurances to the legislature. In a statement jointly signed by the caucus leaders Fred Agbedi and Afam Ogene, the opposition lawmakers announced that a strategic meeting has been scheduled for tomorrow night to deliberate on pressing national and legislative issues. According to the statement, discussions at the meeting will focus on fiscal governance, legislative oversight, and the performance of the minority leadership in the House. A major item on the agenda is the reported failure to implement the 2025 budget for an entire fiscal year, despite the House approving all loan requests submitted by the executive.
The Osun State House of Assembly has refuted claims circulating on social media over alleged plan to rotate the chairmanship of the state's traditional council. The State Assembly also reiterated its resolve to protect its institutional integrity against misinformation, fake news, and malicious falsehoods. This is contained in a statement by the Speaker, Prince Adewale Egbedu, through his Chief Press Secretary, Mr. Olamide Siamiu, following a recent post on Facebook page identified as Asiwaju Omo Yoruba, which suggested that the legislature was considering correspondence on the matter. Prince Egbedu would describe the online publication as false and unconnected to the activities of the Assembly, noted that information of such could undermine public confidence in democratic institutions if left unchecked. The Speaker cautioned against the spread of unverified information on sensitive cultural and traditional matters. He also reassured residents of the state of his commitment to transparency and accountability in legislative affairs.
As the world celebrates the International Day of Education, there is the need for Nigerian youths to develop entrepreneurial skills and embrace digital empowerment that will shape their future. Some educational stakeholders made the submission in Ado-Ekiti, the Ekiti state capital, while speaking with Radio Nigeria on this year's commemoration. Our correspondent, Busuyi Ogidiolu, has the rest of the story.
The theme for this year's International Day of Education is the power of youth in co-creating education, which recognizes the crucial role young people play in shaping the future of education and emphasizes the need for their active participation in decision-making process. Professor Sam Akinjegede, former Dean, Faculty of Education, Ekiti State University, Ado-Ekiti, highlighted the skills needed by young people to drive innovation in education to include creative talent, critical thinking ability, problem-solving competencies, and entrepreneurial proficiency.
Shifting to competency, moving from what you know to what you can do with what you know. Personalized learning, solving real-world problems by applying critical thinking to challenges. Self-directed learning, fostering curiosity and intrinsic motivation for continuous learning.
Professor Sam Akinjegede noted that many young people often face barriers which prevent quality education and decent work opportunities, hence the need to involve them in co-creating a modern education system of global standard. Contributing, the secondary school teacher in Ado-Ekiti, Dr. Joshua Binuyo, urged young people to speak out in addressing challenges such as expensive education, unstable and inconsistent curriculum, social and economic disparities, political declination, insecurity, economic imbalances, and incessant inflation mitigating against education in the country. He maintained that any nation that neglected youth would definitely be working towards its own downfall. Dr. Binuyo stressed the importance of qualitative and affordable education for all children of school age.
Education enables someone to know, project, protect, defend, and fight for his or her rights. Education enlightens. It also helps to understand, to explore, to modify, and refine your environment.
A cross-section of youth expressed their minds on the importance of education as it affects them.
Education cannot be compared to anything. The government needs to fund education.
Education is the best for the youth. Government should not neglect education.
The respondents called on youth across Nigeria to organize debates on areas of deficiencies and come up with solutions to them. In Ado-Ekiti, Busuyi Ogidiolu, Radio Nigeria.
The Southwest Zone of the Contributory Pensioners Union of Nigeria, CPUN, says it will no longer accept continued withholding of its members' entitlements by some pension fund administrators. In a communique at the end of its visitation to some pension fund administrators in Ibadan, the union expressed displeasure over the stress and unhealthy situation meted on its members in accessing their pension liabilities. It describes the delay of the fund, which according to investigations have been released to pension fund administrators since October last year, as unacceptable. The union states that it felt the agony and pain of its members in the customs service who are exempted from the ongoing pension liabilities and pleaded with the federal government and PENCOM to revisit their plight. The communique signed by its chairman, Chief Joseph Idowu, and Secretary Comrade Idowu Ogunjeri underscored the union's gratitude to President Bola Tinubu.
The Joint Health Sector Union JSO has called on well-meaning Nigerians to appeal to government to address its demands. According to the union, its one-point demand remains the implementation of the report on the adjustment of the Consolidated Health Salary Structure, CONHES, for health workers. The National Secretary, Dr. Martins Egbedumbi, made this known to newsmen, stressing that the federal government is responsible for the hardship faced by patients and other people in need of medical attention due to the ongoing strike by its members. Dr. Egbedumbi stated that while JSO understands the implications of the strike on many Nigerians who could not access medical services offered by private health institutions, it has also suffered casualties.
Workers of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, with the backing of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, have picketed the National Industrial Court in Abuja as part of an ongoing total and indefinite strike over unresolved labor disputes. The protest followed a directive from the NLC describing the strike as justified amid what it termed persistent violations of workers' rights by the FCTA management and political leadership. Placards carried by the protesters bore inscriptions such as "Wike must go," "Abuja no be rivers," "Pay promotion arrears," "Enough is enough," and "No working tolls."
Residents of Ilu Abo community in Akure North local government area of Ondo State today staged a peaceful protest over the recent spate of kidnappings in the area, barricading the airport or expressway and bringing the vehicular movement to a standstill. The protest followed the abduction of a woman, Tomilola Oladende, in the community last night, an incident that has heightened fear and tension among residents. According to eyewitness accounts, the victim was kidnapped at the entrance of her residence by armed assailants who reportedly shot at her vehicle, damaging its fuel tank and tires before whisking her away. In the process, two neighbors that raised alarm and attempted to intervene were also shot and were rushed to a nearby hospital for emergency treatment. Angered by what they described as persistent insecurity and the absence of adequate security presence, youths, women, and community leaders trooped out early today, blocking the major highway with logs, stones, and other objects, while chanting solidarity songs and demanding urgent government intervention.
The chairman, Ibadan Muslim community, Alhaji Bayo Yero, has enjoined the newly constituted Central Executive Council of the Ido Local Government Muslim Community to work for the progress of Islam and address challenges facing Muslims in their domains. Alhaji Oyero gave the advice while inaugurating 25 pioneer executive members of the Ido Local Government Muslim Community at Nematulai Ayola Central Mosque, Olunde, Ibadan, Oyo State. Guest lecturer at the occasion and the chairman Oyo State Pilgrims Welfare Board Muslim Wing, Sheikh Hazim Atere, challenged the new executive to see their appointments as a sacred trust and covenant with Allah to serve the Ummah. The chairman, inaugural committee, Al-Aji Lukman Showumi, commended the committee members for their sacrifice and commitment during the process of selecting the executive members. The executive chairman, Ido Local Government, Mr. Sherif Adeojo, represented by his Chief of Staff, Ustaz Kabir Pokpola, promised to ensure religious harmony and peaceful coexistence for the people. In his acceptance speech, the newly inaugurated chairman, Ido Local Government Community, Alhaji Abdurazak Ademola, promised to work with other executive members to achieve the laudable vision of better welfare for Muslims with a view to achieving the pleasure of Allah through excellent performance. Among the newly constituted Central Executive Council of the Ido Local Government Muslim Community are the Comptroller News, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRC and Ibadan Zonal Station, Mr. Sherifuddin Nasiruddin as Public Relations Officer 1, and the Assistant Chief Internal Auditor, FRC and Ibadan, Mr. Kozim Akwade, as the Auditor, and Secretary Ustaz Ishak Badmus alongside 22 others.
The Nigerian Police Force Oyo State Command has rescued a man identified as Haruna Lawal a few hours after he was kidnapped in Olonda village, Oyo State. The command spokesperson, Deputy Superintendent of Police DSP Olayinka Anyalade, disclosed these in a statement noting that the swift rescue was made possible through the coordinated response of police operatives and the command's commitments to the protection of lives and property. According to her, the command received a distress call on Saturday morning from the victim's sister, Alimot, who reported that suspected kidnappers armed with dangerous weapons had invaded her brother's residence and abducted Haruna Lawal, acting on the directive of the Commissioner of Police, Femi Haruna. Police operatives were immediately deployed to the area, launching an aggressive bush combing and patrol operation. She said the victim sustained a head injury during the incident and is currently receiving medical treatment at the General Hospital, Oyo. Similarly, the command also recorded a major operational success following an intelligence-led operation in Shaki, Oyo State. Police operatives intercepted a truck conveying material suspected to be explosive devices during a routine stop and search operation. The truck and the suspected item were immediately secured and taken into police custody.
This is the world today, the stories that made the headlines. First Lady attacks Nigerians on environmental protection. Residents have protested incessant kidnappings in Ondo community. And still to come in the news, China clears air on trade deal with Canada, and 18 dies in Philippines ferry mishap. Don't go anywhere, just stay with us.
Thanks for being there. China says a preliminary trade deal with Canada does not target any third party after the United States threatened to impose 100% tariffs on Canadian products if the agreement was finalized. The deal was announced during Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's visit to Beijing this month. Under the deal, Beijing is expected to reduce tariffs on Canadian canola imports and grant Canadians visa-free travel to China. Over the weekend, the United States, Canada's traditional ally, threatened to impose 100% tariffs on Canadian products if the deal was to go ahead.
The UK government has announced a wide-ranging package of measures aimed at easing cost of living pressures on families this year. These include wage increases for millions of workers, frozen rail fares, lower energy bills, higher pensions, and expanded welfare and childcare support. In a statement published on its official website, the government said it was responding to mounting financial pressure on households. It's described the cost of living as the number one issue impacting working people.
At least 18 people have died after a ferry carrying more than 350 passengers and crew members on board sank in the waters of Philippines' southern coast. Report says search crews have rescued 317 people on board, but at least 24 people are still missing. The ship, both a cargo and a passenger ferry, were on their way from the southern island of Mindanao to Jolo Island when it issued a distress call. Authorities say they are investigating the cause of the sinking. In today's Heart of the Matter, Fumilola Obagbaegun of our Current Affairs Unit writes on honoring federal government and ASU agreement.
Before the assumption of office by President Bola Tinubu, there have been lingering crises between the federal government and the labor union in the nation's tertiary institutions on welfare, infrastructural decay, and poor funding. Since assumption, President Tinubu has taken the bull by the horns when he promised to end incessant strikes by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. This was shown in the recent agreement between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, which marks a significant milestone in addressing the long-standing challenges facing Nigeria's higher education sector, particularly in the public universities. Based on the landmark agreement, federal government has committed to new framework designed to honor the 2009 Pact and end the cycle of industrial strikes and aimed at restoring stability, improving staff welfare, and safeguarding academic standards. The agreement also seeks to resolve long-standing issues relating to salaries, pensions, university funding, and strike prevention. The protracted conflict, marked by recurring strikes, inadequate funding, and unresolved welfare concerns, has repeatedly disrupted academic calendars, accelerated brain drain, and left millions of students at a disadvantage. The agreement, which includes commitments to improved funding, infrastructure and welfare for academic staff, and commitment to addressing issues of intellectual stagnation, is a welcome development that promises to enhance the quality of education in all universities. The implementation of this agreement is crucial to revitalizing Nigeria's higher education system and ensuring that universities can provide quality education to students. It also sends a positive signal to the academic community and the nation at large that the government is committed to prioritizing education. It is pertinent for federal government to forward the National Research Council Bill to the National Assembly to ensure at least 1% of gross domestic product, GDP, is allocated to research, innovation, and development. Government must ensure the approved 40% upward review of academic staff remuneration is reflected in payroll systems. The government must adopt an enhanced needs-based budgeting system for universities, focusing on crucial recurrent and capital components. However, the success of this agreement depends on the effective implementation of its provisions and the continued dialogue between the government and ASUU. It is essential that all stakeholders work together to ensure that the agreed measures are implemented promptly and effectively. As Nigeria looks to the future, investing in education is key to unlocking the country's potential and driving socio-economic development. The government and ASUU must build on this momentum to address the remaining challenges and create a world-class education system that benefits all Nigerians. Also, to whom much is given, much is expected. The ASUU should reciprocate the federal government's gesture by performing their responsibilities of impacting adequate knowledge on the students who are believed to be leaders of tomorrow.
That script on honoring federal government and ASUU agreement was written by Funmilola Obagbaegun of our Current Affairs Unit and read by Olubukola Enimola.
Have you heard about an insect that does not sleep? Let's join Emilia Ojemudia for details.
Termites are a group of Detritivorous eusocial cockroaches which consume a variety of decaying plant materials, generally in the form of wood, leaf litter, and soil humus. They are distinguished by their moniliform antennae and are soft-bodied. Termites are not ants but highly derived cockroaches. They are often referred to as silent destroyers because they operate 24/7, with worker termites consuming wood continuously to feed the colony. Unlike humans, termites lack a nervous system that requires rest or a sleep cycle, allowing them to remain active around the clock. Termites do not have a sleep disorder, rather, they are notable for never sleeping at all. Termites work non-stop, chewing through wood, constructing tunnels, and expanding their colony, which leads to rapid structural damage. The worker caste, which causes the most damage, never rests, whereas other roles within the colony focus on reproduction and defense. While they are always active, they often remain hidden inside structures. However, their tunneling can sometimes be heard at night as a quiet ticking or tapping sound. While termites do not bite or harm humans directly, an infestation can disrupt a person's sleep due to the stress of damage, the potential for swarming inside, or the noise of their activities.
That feature on termite was written by Lilian Ibomo.
To end the news on World Today from the Stable of Radio Nigeria, here again are the day's top stories. The First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has urged Nigerians to embrace environmental protection and cleanliness as a shared societal responsibility. Residents of Iluabo community in Akure North local government area of Ondo State today staged a peaceful protest over the recent spate of kidnappings in the area, barricading the airport or expressway and bringing vehicular movement to a standstill. China says a preliminary trade deal with Canada does not target any third party after the United States threatened to impose 100% tariffs on Canadian products if the agreement was finalized. Lastly, we told you that at least 18 people have died after a ferry carrying more than 350 passengers and crew members on board sank in the waters of Philippines' southern coast.
And that's it on The World Today, the first for the week. Do join us tomorrow for a fresh edition of the program. Modukbe Toba edited. My name is Olubukola Enimola. Thank you for joining us and do enjoy the rest of the day. From my colleague
Victor Ajfu, have a great day.